Welcome back. Think your old Lincoln wheat penny is only worth a cent? Think again, some of these coins can fetch hundreds or more. Got any old Jefferson nickels lying around? You might want to take a closer look. Some of these nickels, especially wartime silver ones and era coins, are worth way more than 5 cents. Let's break down which ones to keep and which might make you some serious cash. 1909 Lincoln wheat penny coin without mint mark coin condition circulated. This coin holds a very special place in the history of American coinage because it marks the very first year that the Lincoln cent was introduced into circulation. Prior to 1909, the United States cent featured the Indian head design, which had been in use for 50 years. The change to the Lincoln design represented not just a new image, but a major shift in style and sentiment. It was the first time a real historical person appeared on a regular issue United States coin. The portrait of President Abraham Lincoln was created by sculptor Victor D. Brenner, whose initials originally appeared on the reverse of some of the early coins. That year, the coin without a mint mark indicates it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which was responsible for striking a large portion of the 1909 Lincoln cents. There were two main reverse types in 1909, one that features the designer's initials VDB at the bottom between the wheat ears and one that does not. The version without the initials is less rare but still very desirable to collectors simply due to the historic nature of the first year issue. In circulated condition, the 1909 Lincoln wheat penny shows signs of wear that are typical for a coin over a century old. The obverse side features a bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the word Liberty on the left and the date 1909 on the right. The motto "In God We Trust" runs across the top of the coin. In a circulated coin, the fine details in Lincoln's hair, his beard, and his cheek may be smoothed out from years of handling. The lettering usually remains legible, but may appear worn around the edges or blended slightly into the coin's surface. On the reverse side, the words 1 cent and United States of America are boldly struck in the center, with a pluribus unum above and to stylized wheat ears on either side. This reverse design gave rise to the common name wheat penny or wheat cent. In a circulated example, the tops of the wheat stalks and fine lines between the kernels may be faint or completely worn flat. The edges of the coin often show some rounding and light nicks from contact with other coins over many years. The color of the coin in this condition is usually a medium to dark brown tone. The original red copper luster fades over time due to oxidation and exposure to air and moisture. A completely red 1909 cent in uncirculated condition can be extremely valuable, but circulated pieces still hold strong appeal among collectors, especially for those who want to own a piece of American numismatic history. Despite being a common issue with millions minted, the 1909 Lincoln cent has historical importance that cannot be understated. It was issued to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The decision to feature Lincoln on a coin was controversial at the time, but it set the stage for modern coin designs that honored real people instead of allegorical figures. Because of this innovation, the 1909 penny is often considered a milestone in American coinage. The collector value of a 1909 Lincoln wheat penny in circulated condition depends on its grade, eye appeal, and whether it includes the VDB initials. A coin without the VDB, but with a clear date and clean fields, can still command strong value, especially when found in nice condition. While the most valuable versions of this coin can reach thousands of dollars in higher grades or with rare features, even circulated versions can reach several $100s in auctions, especially if well preserved and attractive. For those who collect Lincoln cents, the 1909 issue is absolutely essential. It marks the beginning of a coin series that continues to this day. Most Lincoln cent collections start with this very coin, making demand strong even among casual collectors. In addition, many coin dealers and investors look to early Lincoln cents as a stable collectible due to their age, historical context, and strong base of interest. A 1909 Lincoln wheat penny in circulated condition represents more than just copper and age. It carries with it the story of a changing nation, the legacy of a revered president, and the beginning of one of the longest-running coin designs in the world. Even worn examples are admired and respected, and they remain among the most frequently sought-after coins in the American penny series. Whether held for investment study or sentimental reasons, the 1909 penny is always viewed as a key and foundational piece of any wheat cent collection. Next up we have 1965 Jefferson Nickels coin condition, dust on the whole coin. The 1965 Jefferson nickel was produced during a unique period in United States coinage history. This was the year after the Coinage Act of 1965, which ended the use of silver in quarters and dimes due to a national coin shortage and rising silver prices. Though the nickel was not affected by this silver removal, it had always been made of copper and nickel alloy. It was still part of the broader changes in minting practices. During that time, no mint marks were used in 1965 as the U.S. Mint wanted to discourage coin hoarding, so this coin was produced at multiple facilities but carries no identifying mint mark. In circulated condition, the 1965 Jefferson nickel with dust covering the entire surface shows signs of age and long-term exposure. The dust may come from years in storage or from being in an environment where airborne particles settled and accumulated over time. This layer of dust can obscure some of the design details, especially finer elements, such as Jefferson's hair, the inscriptions on both sides, and the architectural features of Monticello on the reverse. Depending on the thickness of the dust, the coin may appear dull or even slightly discolored. However, underneath the dust, much of the original design likely remains. From a numismatic perspective, condition plays a key role in determining a coin's value. A dusty Jefferson nickel from 1965 does not hold significant market value unless it possesses rare characteristics like minting errors or exceptional preservation underneath the dust. Since this coin has been identified as having dust across its surface, it likely falls into a circulated category with limited value. However, it can still be meaningful to collectors who seek to build a full year set or those interested in coins from the mid-1960s transition period in U.S. coinage. Collectors who come across a 1965 Jefferson nickel in this condition often consider light non-abrasive cleaning to assess what remains beneath the dust, though such action must be handled carefully. Cleaning can reduce the coin's appeal or perceived authenticity, especially if harsh methods are used. Ideally, dust can be gently removed using a soft brush or cloth to reveal more of the coin's original surfaces. If preserved properly, this coin might present better than expected once cleaned, although heavy wear or pitting may be visible once the dust is gone. Millions of Jefferson nickels were minted in 1965, making this coin extremely common. As such, the value for circulated examples remains low, typically just face value, unless the coin stands out for condition, rarity, or error. Some collectors look for die cracks, double dies, off-center strikes, or other anomalies that can boost interest and value. Without such features, this coin will usually serve a more educational or commemorative purpose in a collection rather than a monetary one. Even so, the historical context of the coin remains relevant. The mid-1960s was a turning point in American coinage, with materials and designs under review and national coin shortages prompting policy changes. A 1965 nickel reflects the mint's effort to meet public demand while reducing hoarding behavior by removing mint marks. It also represents continuity in design during a time of uncertainty and transformation. The Jefferson nickel, designed by Felix Schlag, had already been in use for nearly 30 years by this point and would continue for several decades more, making it one of the most enduring designs in U.S. history. The obverse features a profile of Thomas Jefferson facing left with inscriptions above and along the edge. The reverse showcases Monticello with the words 5 cents and United States of America surrounding the building. While the design remained consistent, small changes in the strength of strike and die work can be seen across different years and mints. This adds nuance for those who study the series in depth, even when the coin in question is a common circulated one like the dusty 1965 issue. In summary, a 1965 Jefferson nickel with dust on the whole coin may not be rare or highly valuable, but it remains a part of U.S. coinage history. Its condition suggests long-term storage or environmental exposure. Its design links it to an important period in mid-20th century minting practices. While the dust obscures its full appearance, the underlying structure and details of the coin still offer educational and historical interest, especially to those who enjoy collecting everyday artifacts that reflect broader changes in society and economy. Proper care and storage moving forward can help ensure it remains preserved for the future as a small but genuine piece of the American past. Next up we have 1916 Lincoln Wheat penny coin without mint mark coin condition circulated. This coin comes from an early chapter in the history of the Lincoln cent series and is now well over 100 years old. The 1916 issue was produced at a time when the Lincoln cent design was still relatively new but had already gained acceptance among the public and collectors alike. It was part of the Wheat penny series that ran from 1909 to 1958, and these coins were well known for their simple yet classic design, which featured the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and to wheat ears on the reverse. The absence of a mint mark on this 1916 penny tells us that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During this period, the Philadelphia Mint did not place any identifying letter on coins, so a coin without a mint mark from this year and series is considered a -1 issue from Philadelphia. While millions were struck in that year due to the heavy circulation and age, not many have survived in high grades, and those that did are now considered collectible, especially to those interested in the full Lincoln series. In circulated condition, this coin likely shows significant signs of wear. On the obverse, the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln remains recognizable, but fine details such as the hair strands, the lines in the cheek, and the bow tie are often smoothed out from years of use. The date 1916 should still be clearly visible, as well as the word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust" that appears along the upper edge of the coin. Sometimes the lettering becomes faint near the rim due to wear, but the overall design remains intact. The reverse side of the coin features the familiar design with 1 cent and United States of America in bold lettering at the center. The Latin phrase "E pluribus unum" arches across the top, and two stylized wheat stalks border the central text on both sides. In circulated examples, the tips of the wheat stalks and the fine lines within them are usually worn down or flattened. The surface of the coin may show nicks, dings, or discoloration from decades of handling, storage, and circulation. The original color of the coin was a bright reddish copper, but by now the surface has likely darkened to a brown or dull tone due to oxidation. Circulated coins often exhibit uneven toning and may show darker patches or small surface spots. Despite this, many collectors appreciate the aged appearance of early wheat pennies and consider even well-worn examples to be historically valuable. What makes the 1916 penny appealing is not just its age, but also its place within a critical decade of American history. This coin was minted during World War I, a time of significant global conflict and change. Domestically, the United States was seeing rapid industrial growth, societal shifts, and changes in its economic structure. Carrying a coin from this time offers a physical connection to those historic years, and collectors value that sense of continuity and legacy. Though the 1916 penny from Philadelphia is not considered rare in absolute terms, it does become more desirable as condition improves. Circulated examples like this one can still attract collector interest, especially if they are free of major damage and have a strong, clear date. For a collector trying to complete a date and mint mark set of Lincoln wheat since the 1916 penny is a necessary piece, and having one from the original Philadelphia mint adds to the completeness of the set. In the auction market, prices for circulated 1916 Lincoln cents vary depending on the condition, but fine examples without any major corrosion or damage can sell for respectable amounts. Some coins with especially pleasing toning or clean surfaces, despite their age, have been known to sell from $100 to several $100s. Higher values are possible if the coin displays stronger details and overall good eye appeal despite the circulated grade. This coin remains a favorite among collectors not only because of its historical placement, but also due to its elegant and classic design. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series is one of the most popular coin types ever issued in the United States, and early date coins, like the 1916 example, offer both historical depth and collectible appeal. Even though it may be worn, the story behind this coin continues to attract interest from those who appreciate the legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the enduring tradition of American coinage. Holding this coin is like holding a piece of early 20th century America, and that connection makes it valuable in more ways than one. 1966 Jefferson Nickel Coin Condition Red Shade. This coin was minted in a period when the United States Mint did not use mint marks on nickels, which makes it part of a brief time from 1965 to 1967, when the mint temporarily removed mint marks from all coins to discourage collecting during a coin shortage. The 1966 Jefferson nickel is made primarily of a copper and nickel alloy and features the familiar design created by Felix Schlag, which had been in use since the coin's introduction in 1938. The obverse side of this nickel features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. In circulated examples from 1966 with red shading, the coin's surface may appear discolored in some areas, especially around the edges or fields where environmental exposure or chemical reaction has altered the original grayish-silver tone to reddish or copper-like hues. This red shade is not a normal patina for this alloy, so it could indicate oxidation, staining, or environmental damage. Nonetheless, many collectors find unique toned coins visually appealing, and such toning may in rare cases attract niche interest if the color patterns are unusual or aesthetically pleasing. The details of Jefferson's face, coat, and hair on a circulated 1966 nickel are often worn down, but still present. The motto "In God We Trust" appears to the left of the portrait, while the word "Liberty" and the date 1966 are inscribed to the right. On a circulated coin with red shade, these inscriptions may still be visible but could show signs of softening or partial blending into the background. The edges might display darkened or reddish patches that highlight areas of wear or reaction with environmental substances over time. The reverse of the coin depicts Monticello Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. The word Monticello appears beneath the building and is often the first detail to wear down on circulated examples. Above Monticello are the words "E pluribus unum," and below are United States of America and the denomination 5 cents. On a red-shaded coin, this entire reverse side may be uneven in tone, with various red, coppery, or dark brown marks giving it a mottled appearance. The building itself may be flattened in areas where wear has affected the dome or columns, making the structure appear less detailed and slightly blended into the coin field. The 1966 Jefferson nickel is not a rare coin by mintage numbers. Millions were struck and most remain common in circulation today. However, finding one in a unique red shade gives it a certain visual character. This shade often results from long-term storage in acidic paper envelopes, contact with moisture, or environmental elements that reacted with the metal. It is important to note that while the red coloration may be visually interesting, it typically does not increase the value of the coin unless it creates an especially attractive or rare toning pattern. In most cases, red tone from corrosion or improper storage may reduce the collector value, though it can still be intriguing as a conversation piece. Collectors evaluating a red-shaded 1966 Jefferson nickel will consider whether the color is due to toning, oxidation, or dirt. Toning that occurs naturally over time and is evenly distributed can sometimes be considered attractive, especially if it adds an iridescent or multicolored effect. On the other hand, patchy red areas that look like corrosion or staining are generally seen as negative factors in a coin's condition and desirability. If the coin shows red shades from rust or soil contact rather than copper toning from the nickel alloy, it is generally not favorable in numismatic circles, though it may hold sentimental or novelty value. Handling such a coin should be done with care to prevent further damage. Touching a red-toned nickel directly with fingers may accelerate discoloration or leave oils that could worsen corrosion. It is recommended to store the coin in a holder that protects both surfaces from air and moisture and to keep it in a cool, dry place. Cleaning the coin is not advised, as improper cleaning methods can scratch or dull the surface and permanently reduce its appeal to collectors. Although a 1966 Jefferson nickel is not a rare item in itself, its unique coloring may make it an unusual addition to a collection focused on coin varieties or environmental toning. Its real value may lie not in monetary terms, but in how it represents the journey of a common object through decades of circulation. From pocket to drawer to box, each coin develops its own path, and the red shade seen on this example tells a story of exposure to time and environment. For those collecting Jefferson nickels by year, the 1966 issue is essential. It reflects a transitional era in United States coinage history and carries the subtle hallmarks of mass production and widespread use. Even with red tones, this nickel still bears the heritage of its original design and purpose as currency used by millions. It remains a piece of history, one that has passed through countless hands and perhaps even witnessed the change of decades and the passage of eras. As such, even a humble 1966 red-shaded nickel has its place among the collected and remembered coins of American numismatic history. Next up we have 1935 Lincoln Wheat penny coin without mint mark coin condition fine. This coin comes from an era of American history marked by recovery and resilience. The year 1935 was situated in the midst of the Great Depression, when the country was slowly rebuilding from one of its toughest economic periods. Despite the challenges of the time, the United States Mint continued to produce large numbers of coins, including the 1935 Lincoln Wheat penny. This specific coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, as indicated by the lack of a mint mark, which was standard practice for coins produced at that facility during this time. In fine condition, this coin still retains much of its original design, though it shows moderate wear on the high points of the surfaces. On the obverse, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln remains well defined. His facial features are visible, though the highest areas, such as the cheekbones, jawline, and hair above the ear, may be slightly smoothed from circulation. The date 1935 remains bold and fully legible, the word Liberty positioned to the left of the portrait is also readable, as is the motto "In God We Trust" along the top rim of the coin. Although the surface may show some darkening or light discoloration from age, the general appearance is still pleasant and suitable for many collections. Turning to the reverse side, the coin features the classic wheat penny design introduced in 1909. It displays the denomination 1 cent at the center with United States of America just beneath. Arching along the top rim is the motto "E pluribus unum," which was intended to represent unity from many states. Flanking the central text are two stylized wheat ears, which represent agricultural strength and prosperity. In fine condition, these wheat ears remain fully visible, though their tips may show signs of wear, and the inner lines may be faint or slightly blended. The overall design remains intact and easily recognizable to collectors and enthusiasts. The metal composition of this coin is primarily copper with a small percentage of tin and zinc. Over time, exposure to air and natural elements may have caused oxidation, resulting in a deepened color or uneven tone across the coin's surface. Many fine condition examples display a chocolate brown or reddish brown shade depending on how they were stored or handled. Coins that have been stored in dry, cool environments tend to age more gracefully, while those exposed to moisture or improper storage may show spots or streaks. What makes the 1935 Lincoln Wheat penny particularly special is not just its age or condition, but also its representation of an important moment in American history. This coin was used in everyday transactions during a time when every cent had value. People used this coin to buy basic necessities at a time when jobs were scarce and money was tight. Holding this coin today offers a glimpse into the past, when even a single penny could help purchase a loaf of bread or contribute to a family meal. In the numismatic market, collectors continue to seek out early wheat pennies like this one to complete They're Lincoln cent sets or as individual historical pieces. While the 1935 penny is not considered extremely rare, it becomes more desirable as the condition improves and when it carries no damage or corrosion. In fine condition, a 1935 Lincoln wheat penny from Philadelphia may be valued at anywhere from several dollars to higher amounts, depending on the market demand. I appeal and specific details of the coin. Serious collectors look for consistent color, a clean surface, minimal marks, and strong detail when evaluating fine condition coins. If the coin you have avoids heavy scratches or environmental damage, it may be seen as a solid addition to a mid-range or advanced Lincoln cent collection. Even if it has spent time in circulation, it can still tell a story through its preserved details and aged surfaces. For those who specialize in wheat pennies, collecting different dates and mint marks is part of the fun and challenge. The 1935 issue is an essential part of that journey. It bridges the earlier coins of the 1910s and 1920s with those leading into the post-war era. It is a coin that speaks to resilience not only of metal and design, but also of the people who used it every day. When properly stored in a coin album or holder, the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny can remain in fine condition for generations to come. Whether collected for its history, design, or as part of a broader set, this coin holds both educational and collector value. Its simplicity and charm continue to resonate with those who value the past and appreciate the craftsmanship of American coinage. Next up we have 1960 for Jefferson nickel coin, condition, small hole on the front side. This coin is part of one of the most widely circulated issues of Jefferson nickels. The 1960 for Jefferson nickel marks a significant year in U.S. coinage because it was one of the last years when the mint produced coins with high mintage numbers before transitioning away from silver in other denominations. While the Jefferson nickel has always been made of a copper-nickel alloy, the mintage of 1964 was among the highest in the series, with hundreds of millions of coins struck from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. During this period, the mint removed mint marks temporarily, so this coin may or may not have a visible mint mark depending on the specific mint that produced it. The Jefferson nickel design features the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse. On this particular coin, there is a small hole on the front side which greatly affects the coin's condition and overall integrity. A hole in a coin usually results from intentional alteration, such as drilling or punching. This may have been done to wear the coin as jewelry, carry it on a keychain, or use it for decorative or functional purposes in past decades. While this does not change the historical background of the coin, it does significantly impact the numismatic value from a collector's standpoint. Coins with holes are classified as damaged and are generally considered to have very low collectible value, even if the coin were originally in good condition with sharp details and little where the presence of a hole means it no longer meets the grading standards used by collectors and professional services. In this 1960, for example, the hole is noted on the front side, which likely means that some or all of Jefferson's portrait or the surrounding inscriptions, such as "In God We Trust Liberty" or the date 1964, are affected. The size and placement of the hole will determine how much original design detail has been lost or obscured. On the reverse side of the coin, Monticello Jefferson's historic home is depicted. It is possible that the reverse side remains mostly intact depending on the depth and angle of the hole. However, even if this side is unaffected, the structural damage renders the coin a novelty or a piece suitable for display or craft purposes rather than traditional coin collecting. The inscriptions on the reverse, including "E Pluribus Unum United States of America Monticello" and 5 cents, may still be legible and offer some interest to those who appreciate circulated coins with signs of personal history. The 1960 for Jefferson nickel is not rare by any measure, as this year saw an extraordinary number of coins struck. This was partly due to public hoarding of coins during that era, which led the mint to increase production. Because of the high mintage, these coins are widely available in all grades, from heavily circulated examples to uncirculated specimens. This means that any coin from 1964 with significant damage including holes will not be considered rare or valuable in the eyes of serious collectors. Despite this, the coin still carries historical and visual significance. A small hole in a coin, especially one as common as in 1960 for Jefferson Nickel, invites curiosity about who may have altered the coin and why. Was it part of a charm bracelet used as a keepsake or carried by someone for luck? These personal histories are not part of official coin records, but they add a human element to numismatics. In this way, even a damaged coin like this one can serve as a bridge between the formal study of coinage and the everyday lives of people who used and altered them, while a small hole severely limits any resale or grading potential. The coin can still be of use in educational settings or as part of a damaged coin collection. Collectors who focus on errors, oddities, or altered coins might find interest in this piece, particularly if the hole is well-centered and does not entirely destroy the design. Some collectors specifically seek old coins to display the ways in which coins were adapted for personal use in earlier times, before modern accessories and identification tools were widespread. Storage of a old coin should still follow basic preservation practices. Even though the coin is already damaged, it should be kept dry, clean, and free from materials that may accelerate further corrosion. A coin like this may be placed in a labeled envelope or small container for reference and should not be subjected to cleaning agents or polishing, which might further degrade the surface details. Overall, this 1960 for Jefferson nickel with a small hole on the front side stands more as a piece of social or sentimental history rather than a traditional numismatic item. It reflects the many ways coins were handled, used, and repurposed by people in everyday life. While it lacks collector value in the traditional sense, it holds its place as a modest artifact that tells a quiet story of individual interaction with American coinage. Next up we have 1940 to D Lincoln Wheat penny coin condition circulated. This coin comes from the Denver Mint as indicated by the small D mint mark placed just below the date on the obverse side. It was produced during the early 1940s when the United States was fully engaged in World War II and materials such as copper were closely monitored for potential military use. Despite the looming changes in coin composition that would soon follow in later years, the 1940 to D penny was still struck primarily in copper with small amounts of tin and zinc, making it consistent with earlier wheat penny standards. In circulated condition, the coin shows definite signs of wear from having been used in daily transactions. On the obverse side, Abraham Lincoln's portrait remains clearly visible, although there may be smoothing around the cheek, jaw, and hairline. The details around the eyes and ears may appear faint, and there could be slight flattening on the coat. Near the bottom of the bust, the word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust" can still be read, but the letters might be less bold due to prolonged handling. The date 1940 and the D mint mark beneath it are generally well defined, although light abrasion may make them appear softer to the eye. On the reverse side, the design continues with the traditional wheat ears flanking the denomination 1 cent and the legend United States of America. This reverse design was created by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. In circulated condition, the wheat ears on either side of the coin may show flattened tips and worn interior lines. The motto "E pluribus unum," which arches above the central wording, remains present, though some of the smaller letters may be partially merged with the coin's surface from repeated contact. The copper alloy used in this penny gives it a reddish brown tone, though years in circulation and exposure to the environment often darken the color. In some cases, the coin may display a uniform chocolate brown patina, while others may exhibit uneven discoloration, spotting, or signs of oxidation. These traits are normal in circulated coins and are expected when evaluating a coin that has passed through countless hands over 8 decades. This particular coin tells a story not just of monetary use, but also of the historical context in which it was minted. The year 1940 saw a nation united under the pressures of global conflict. Rationing, war bonds, and conservation were a part of daily life. Coins like this were used to purchase essential goods, help fund the war effort, and contribute to the economy during a time of international struggle. Each coin from this era carries with it a silent narrative of endurance and shared purpose. In terms of collector value, the 1940 to D wheat penny in circulated condition remains a desirable piece for those building complete sets of Lincoln cents. While it is not considered rare, especially in lower grades, it still holds historical appeal. Prices for circulated examples can range from a modest amount to slightly higher figures depending on the exact level of wear and visual appeal. Clean surfaces, legible details, and a pleasing color will naturally elevate its desirability among collectors. For many hobbyists, assembling a full set of wheat pennies from 1909 to 1958 is a long-term goal. Coins like the 1940 to D fill a vital place. In that timeline, they are relatively accessible yet still offer the thrill of searching for quality examples that retain much of their original character despite having been in use. Circulated coins also serve as excellent entry points for new collectors who wish to build a meaningful and affordable collection that reflects American history. Proper care and storage can preserve this coin in its current condition and slow further deterioration. Using a soft cloth for handling and keeping it in a protective holder will help avoid additional wear. While this coin may not command the high values of rare era varieties or mint-state specimens, it remains a respected and valued part of numismatic history. Even as a circulated piece, the 1940 to D Lincoln wheat penny offers a glimpse into the lives of those who used it. It may have passed through the hands of soldiers, families, factory workers, or children collecting for wartime drives. The wear it shows is a testament to its service in an era when every cent mattered. This coin may not be perfect, but it carries with it a quiet dignity shaped by time and history. Next up we have 1941 Jefferson Nickel coin condition circulated. The 1941 Jefferson nickel stands as one of the earlier examples of the series, which began in 1938 and featured a bold and now classic design of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous Monticello home on the reverse. Designed by Felix Schlag, this coin captured the stately presence of Jefferson and the architectural elegance of his home, both of which have remained central to the nickel's design for many years. The year 1941 marked a time just before the United States would enter World War II, and while the coins minted that year did not yet feature the silver composition used later during the war, they do represent the final full year before dramatic changes would begin. A 1941 Jefferson nickel in circulated condition typically exhibits wear and surface marks from years of use in everyday commerce. This wear often shows most prominently on Jefferson's cheek, jawline, and hair, as well as on the Monticello dome steps and lettering on the reverse. In many circulated examples, the luster is gone, replaced by a dull matte finish and darker tone from oxidation or dirt accumulated over decades. The finer details of the original strike, like sharp lines in Jefferson's hair or the steps of Monticello, may be smoothed over due to handling and time. Even in this worn state, however, the overall design usually remains recognizable and legible. The 1941 nickel was struck in large numbers at all three mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins without a mint mark were produced in Philadelphia and are the most common of the three. With millions produced, it is not a rare coin in general, but it does maintain interest among collectors for its position in the timeline of American coinage. The circulated condition limits its monetary value somewhat, but it still has a role to play in date and type sets for collectors and historical enthusiasts, despite its lower value compared to high-grade or rare date coins. A circulated 1941 nickel can fetch modest premiums in the coin market, especially if the details are still visible and the coin has not been damaged or cleaned. It represents an accessible entry point into coin collecting and is often one of the earlier coins young or new collectors encounter when exploring mid-20th century American coinage. It is also appreciated by history lovers who recognize its connection to the years just before the United States' active involvement in the global conflict of World War II. The Jefferson nickel itself has endured for generations in American coinage. and part of that endurance is due to the strength of its original design. Coins like the 1941 issue show how even in circulated condition the essential identity and purpose of the coin remain intact. The portrait of Jefferson continues to be solemn and recognizable, while the depiction of Monticello, though worn, often still holds its shape and significance. These coins serve not just as currency, but as tools of remembrance reflecting a moment in time when America stood on the edge of major changes both at home and abroad. In a circulated state, this 1941 nickel might show minor scratches, dull surfaces, and softened edges, but it still carries an authentic aged appearance that many collectors value for its natural character. Some might even prefer circulated coins because they offer a tangible connection to the past. Each mark on the surface, each smooth detail tells the story of usage over time in pockets, drawers, cash registers, and purses across decades. This story makes circulated coins like this one more than just metal and makes them historic artifacts. Collectors often look for certain details, even in circulated examples, such as full dates, strong rims, and legible inscriptions. If a coin like this 1941 nickel retains enough of its design elements and remains free of corrosion or heavy damage, it can still be desirable as a representative of its era. Especially for those assembling year-by-year sets, a coin like this offers both educational and sentimental value. Coins from 1941 can be carefully stored in holders to preserve their condition and prevent further degradation. While not rare or expensive in circulated form, they can still be lost to further wear if not handled and stored properly. Their long-term value lies not in their scarcity, but in their ability to transport us back to a time just before a massive turning point in world history. For many collectors, that alone makes them worthy of attention. In summary, a 1941 Jefferson nickel in circulated condition is a modest but meaningful coin. It may not bring high prices at auction or rare coin shows, but it does hold value as a piece of American history. From its thoughtful design to the context of its time, this coin represents an important chapter in numismatic and national heritage and deserves a place in any collection that values history and storytelling as much as rarity. Next up, we have 1920 for Lincoln Wheat penny coin without mint mark coin condition circulated. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint as shown by the absence of any mint mark below the date on the obverse side. The year 1920 places this coin in the earlier decades of the Lincoln Wheat cent series, which began in 1909. Coins from the 1920s are considered older in the series, and in circulated condition they often exhibit moderate to heavy wear due to many years of use in commerce. On the obverse side of the coin, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln remains identifiable, though the finer details, such as the hair curls, forehead, and jawline, have likely softened from circulation. The high points of the design tend to wear down first, which means Lincoln's cheek and coat may show significant flattening. The motto "In God We Trust" along the upper rim of the coin is still visible, but may appear faint or slightly blended into the surrounding surface. The word Liberty to the left of Lincoln and the date 1924 to the right are typically clear, though they may have lost some of their original sharpness. The area around the date might show minor surface scratches or darkening from handling and exposure. The reverse side of the coin features the iconic wheat ears design created by Victor David Brenner. In a circulated 1920, for example, these wheat stalks on either side of the words 1 cent and United States of America may show worn tops and a lack of central line detail. The motto "E pluribus unum," which arches across the top edge, can often be seen, though some letters may blend into the field due to the effects of wear. The background may show discoloration from years of use, along with some possible grime or patina that has built up on the surface. The color of the coin will depend on how it has aged and what environments it has been exposed to. In circulated condition, most 1920 for Lincoln cents have taken on a brown or dark brown tone. This natural toning is common in copper-based coins and does not necessarily affect the collectability unless the surface is corroded or heavily damaged. Some coins may have darker areas or light spotting, which are signs of oxidation and common in older circulated coins. Despite its circulated status, the 1920 for wheat penny is a noteworthy piece due to its age and place within the early years of the Lincoln Cent series. During the 1920s, the economy in the United States was marked by significant change. This was a post-World War I era moving into the years of early industrial growth before the onset of the Great Depression. A penny like this would have held real value in everyday life and was used widely for small purchases. Collectors who seek to complete a full run of Lincoln wheat pennies must include the 1920 for issue from the Philadelphia Mint in circulated condition. This coin is not considered extremely rare, but it is scarcer than more modern wheat cents. Its value is modest when heavily worn, but increases in examples that maintain strong details and have minimal surface damage. Even in circulated condition, a coin from this year can hold collector interest, especially if it avoids major scratches, corrosion, or pitting. When evaluating such a coin, collectors look for legible date and lettering, even wear across the surfaces, and a natural age tone. Coins that have been cleaned or polished can lose appeal and even value because such alterations damage the coin's original surface. For a 1920 for penny, the best examples in circulated grades are those that show honest, where without any signs of harsh treatment. Storing the coin properly is essential to maintain its current condition. Using a soft holder or album slot helps protect it from environmental changes and handling damage. Avoiding direct contact with fingers helps reduce the risk of oils or moisture impacting the surface. For long-term storage, a dry and temperature stable environment is ideal to avoid further oxidation or tarnish. While the 1920 for wheat penny may not be a high-value rarity, it still offers a tangible link to American history. It represents a time nearly a century ago when life was very different and yet familiar, in the sense that people relied on coins like this every day. Holding a coin from this period is holding a small piece of that history, whether added to a collection for its date or appreciated for its age and design. This coin has earned its place among the many small artifacts of the past that continue to spark interest and preserve stories. Next up, we have 1940 to Jefferson Nickel's coin condition circulated. The 1940 to Jefferson nickel holds a special place in United States coin history as it was minted during a pivotal moment in the 20th century. This was the time when the United States entered World War II and the composition of coins was temporarily changed due to wartime needs. Early 1940 to nickels were still made from the traditional copper-nickel alloy, while later that year the mint introduced the war nickels, which were made with a special silver alloy to conserve nickel for military production. This makes 1940 to a transitional year with both standard and silver compositions issued under the same date. If the coin in question is the regular copper-nickel version, then it is typically identified by the absence of a large mint mark above Monticello on the reverse. If the coin has a large mint mark such as a PD or S placed above Monticello, it indicates that it is a silver war nickel. However, since the coin is described as circulated and no mint mark or silver detail is mentioned, we can reasonably assume this is likely one of the early 1940 to copper-nickel issues without a mint mark and with traditional alloy content. In circulated condition, this coin has likely passed through many hands over the decades. Circulated coins usually exhibit wear on high points, such as Jefferson's hair, cheekbone, and jawline. The inscriptions, including "In God We Trust Liberty" and the year 1940 to, may still be legible, but often show signs of fading or smoothing due to years of use. The reverse side, showing Monticello, often loses detail around the dome, windows, and steps when worn. In heavy circulation, the surfaces of the coin become dull and lack the original luster seen in uncirculated or mint state examples, despite the where this coin still reflects the iconic design by artist Felix Schlag, who won a national competition in 1938 to create the new nickel. His work continued on the coin unchanged for decades. The image of Monticello on the reverse remains one of the most recognized depictions of an American building on currency, and the simple yet balanced design is still appreciated by numismatists. The value of a 1940 to Jefferson nickel in circulated condition is modest due to its relatively high mintage and the absence of silver in this version. However, it remains a significant coin from a historic year and continues to be sought after by collectors working on full date and mint mark sets. A circulated 1940 to non-silver nickel generally trades for a small premium above face value, especially if the date and other design details are still visible. The circulated condition means this coin is best suited for educational collections for those learning about American coin history or building starter sets. It also fits into broader collections of World War II era coinage even if it does not contain the wartime silver alloy. Some collectors use coins like this to illustrate the evolution of design and alloy changes that occurred during the early 1940s. It is also important to note that the 1940 to Jefferson nickel can sometimes be confused with the silver version, which tends to carry a higher value due to silver content and wartime history. The absence or presence of the large mint mark on the reverse is the key feature that distinguishes these types. Therefore, collectors often closely examine 1940 to nickels to determine which version they have. Coins with the large P mark above Monticello are especially significant as this was the first time the Philadelphia Mint used a visible mint mark on any United States coin. Handling and storage of circulated coins should still follow careful practices. Even though the coin is not in mint condition, it is still part of the historical record and should be protected from further wear. It is best to store such coins in a soft coin envelope or holder to prevent additional contact with abrasive surfaces. Circulated coins should not be cleaned as this can remove original surface metal and reduce even minimal collector value. This 1940 to Jefferson nickel in circulated condition represents both a specific year and coinage and a broader chapter in American history. While it may not have high monetary value, it carries the weight of a time when resources were reallocated to support a global conflict, and even everyday objects like coins were part of the effort. Coins from this year tell a story of transition, practicality, and the durability of design, and this example serves as a quiet piece of that history.